listening to Parts and Charts. I'm Chelsea Owens, the therapist.
And I'm Kate Kashbowski, the astrologer.
Together, we're exploring a hypothesis that internal family systems and astrology work beautifully together.
Each episode, we test that out, and we're so glad you're here with us.
Hello! Welcome to Virgo season. That's what we're talking about today. The Virgo archetype. Something I actually don't know a ton about, so I am really looking forward to learning with all of you as we hear from KP all about the Virgo archetype, which is the season we're in right now. As we're recording this, we are in Virgo season until KP's birthday, until September, whatever the date, 20-something.
I think it's the 22nd this year.
What is it? Okay, perfect. Yeah, we've got time. So let's get into it. Tell us about the Virgo archetype.
Yeah. Before I get into the kind of like technical aspects or like energetic aspects of the archetype, I think it's important to say up front that even if you don't have a placement like the sun in Virgo or Venus in Virgo or something like that, everyone has Virgo energy in them. It just may show up in different ways, and it may not be as apparent as someone who has the moon in Virgo or something like that. Or Mercury in Virgo for sure is a very apparent Virgo energy because Mercury is at home in Virgo and also exalts in Virgo. And exalts means like they feel like superpowered or extra. Mercury feels celebrated when Mercury's in Virgo. So that's what exalted means. Okay. So that's like right out the gate. We can talk about people who have Virgo placements as Virgo people, but Virgo energy is in everyone. Okay, let's start at the basics. Virgo is an earth sign. It's a mutable sign, meaning that the Virgo season or the month of Virgo is at the end of the summer season. So every mutable sign completes the season. And then the next sign is always a cardinal sign. So after Virgo is Libra, after Pisces, a mutable sign is Aries, a cardinal sign. Mutable ends a season, cardinal begins a season, and then fixed signs are in the middle of every season. The way I remember fixed is that we're sustaining the energy. So we're like fixed in place and we're not going to be changing our mind or shifting anytime soon. That's mutable energy is like we're preparing to change. Okay, so we're earth sign, Virgo's an earth sign, mutable sign. It's considered a feminine sign. So feminine as in like yin yang kind of feminine is that masculine signs are more forthright or I guess presented, where feminine signs are more receptive or have this energy of like responding rather than acting first and then responding. So that's where we're at with Virgo energy right out the gate. When we're thinking about Virgo, the word, it translates directly to virgin, but the meaning of virgin is so different than what we understand it in our current culture, in the Western culture after the medieval ages. Virgin to us has so much to do with like sexual identity or sexual event, right? So when you say virginity, you have had physical intercourse with another person. That is like how we see that concept. But the Virgo energy, the virgin energy that we're talking about actually is the energy of someone, usually a woman or a person who's an innocent, is of themselves complete. So I don't know when this began. I would assume it's around the medieval age. When a woman got married, she lost her virginity or her like status of virginhood because she became part of a household or a part of a marriage or a part of a home, right? So she became integral or essential to another being or another life. Before that, though, she was essential to her own life. One way that I think about this as someone who's like is beholden to themselves or makes their own decisions, I think about nuns. I think about the Vestal Virgins. So nuns I think about because they are considered married to God, right? Or Jesus. I don't know much about nunhood, I'll admit, but they are disallowed, but also they don't have the desire to be a part of someone else's life. They are using life as a service in whatever way they see it. And it usually is a service of God, like being the flesh of God to help humanity. The Vestal Virgins were young women or young girls who decided to give their life to the service of keeping the fire going forever. And if we can get a little feminist about this, if one of those Vestal virgins or all of the Vestal virgins were in a relationship with someone else or married to someone, or they had children, or they had another occupation, another thing occupying their mind, which is another Virgo kind of thing, occupying the mind, that
Mhm.
fire we could not rely on like persisting, right? That fire may go out if that virgin, that person had to care or tend to something else.
Mhm.
But her life was always tending to this fire for the consistency of their society. And if that
Mhm.
fire, they would be in danger. Everyone would be in danger. So those are a lot of the Virgo stories that are told or talked about. The archetype in flesh, non Vestal Virgin. I think a lot about too, like how Virgo energy is often talked about as like the nurse or the teacher
Hmm.
or the person who's like tending to other people because that Virgo energy is so like in its core so skilled at or so just like naturally inclined toward understanding all of the elements of something that needs to be done in order for something to be taken care of.
Yeah.
So if we're thinking about like the concept of the mental load is being talked about a lot recently, where
Mhm.
they're like someone at the head of a household, usually a mother, right, or
Mhm.
someone who runs the house. They're doing all of this mental work to make sure everything keeps going. And if they fall ill, the house or the system also falls with them, so they can't fall ill
Mhm.
or they have to get really good at delegating, which can be hard because a lot of the work is done in their head.
Mhm.
So we're thinking about like, okay, what kind of groceries do we need?
Yeah.
What kind of garden care equipment do we need? What is
Mhm.
poisonous to our family and what is not poisonous? Like when you're shopping for certain brands and the other person in your household doesn't know why you choose a certain brand and they come
Mhm.
home with a brand that has poison in it, like that's such like Virgo energy to me. It's that like they just
Yeah.
that energy is so aware and can sort and organize all the essential knowledge in order to make practical, healthy, helpful decisions.
Mhm.
So going back to nurse and teacher, a nurse not only has to like know everything that's happening every moment when they're on their shift, on their floor or whatever, they also have to have basic, maybe more than basic knowledge of physics, medicine, like everything that has to do with life sustaining or life supporting medicine and practices. And then on top of that, they also have to have incredible social skills, mental capability and capacity for holding all this information at once and the ability to triage what's most important at any moment. So like
Mhm.
Virgo energy to me is so nurse like or doctor like or but it's more nurse to me because nurse energy is more so physical, so one-on-one touch point and so active. Where
Mhm.
doctor energy is a little bit different where they can go back and study and come back and give you information. It's not so hands-on.
Mhm.
And Virgo energy is earthy. It's hands, it's bodies, it's grounded into the practical reality of life. And then teacher is let's think of the ruling planet of Virgo as Mercury. Mercury is the planet of teaching, of translating knowledge to someone who doesn't yet have that knowledge, or
Mhm.
translating a concept and having a student or someone else apply the concept so they have it for themselves.
Mhm.
That's Mercury energy. So Virgo energy feels so teacher like to me because they're not just the translator, the teacher translator. They are also hands on, touch point, one on one, or one to group, supporting the development of other people.
Mm.
Okay. So I think that's kind of where I want to start. What's coming to mind for you right now with the archetype?
Okay, well, I'm trying to think just in terms of archetype and not with specific people that I know, but
Yeah.
it's so hard. Like, I haven't met a Virgo who hasn't been super organized or like like an exquisite planner, and
Yeah.
they're just like taking care of every detail, and I love that. But I honestly sometimes can get like sometimes I'm either guessing like they're either a Capricorn or they're Virgo. There's something about both of those Earth energies to me that they're like both extremely good at planning and handling all these things. And we'll get to Capricorn much later, but
That's
maybe Virgo's better at math.
that's
I'm just
another thing about like
gonna make
who
that assumption.
Yeah, being Mercury
right?
ruled allows you to, like, take in so much different data points and make sense of it. So, yeah, math is, like if you are a Virgo sun and you don't like math, math is not your thing,
Yeah.
it's more so that, like, you just have the capability, the capacity to look at a bunch of numbers and make
Mm-hmm.
sense of it, where
Mm-hmm.
not many people have that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but the Capricorn Virgo distinction is interesting to me.
Yeah.
I think Capricorn energy a lot. Capricorn is cardinal Earth. So Capricorn likes to plan for the future, like
Yeah.
to put everything in place in order for something big or long term to happen. It's more like that.
Mm-hmm.
Where Virgo is mutable Earth. So they're in this place where like they want to be able to be prepared for change,
Mm.
or like the way that they plan is like to sustain blows or like sustain change and be able to be flexible, and that
Yeah.
requires so much foresight or preparation in order to take change.
That's so
That's how
true. It almost feels like a little bit more of an anxious energy, like
I see that.
in
Yeah,
preparation for like the worst things happening, right? Like let's be prepared for yeah, the worst case scenario. Like
yeah,
and that feels and anxiety isn't bad, Like
yeah,
it can help us in a lot of ways and it's just trying to protect. Or those parts are just trying to protect
yeah,
or
for sure.
get us out of dangerous situations. But it can also just, on the extreme end, think that everything's a dangerous situation, or like the over planning or overthinking can sometimes, get in the way of just enjoying, anything or the present moment, or just being
Yeah,
overburdened by like, I'm the only person who's going to, be able to plan all this stuff. So I have to take that on. If I don't take it on, no one else will. I hear
it's
that
like
quite a bit.
it's possibly true with Virgo
It
energy
possibly is true.
because Virgo
Things will
energy
fall through
is
the
like
cracks.
yeah, Virgo energy is like the super powered mind. And like very few people have that ability to like run their mind as quickly and as consistently as
Yeah.
Virgo energy. So like yeah, when they say like I'm the only person who can do this, it's probably likely that that's true. But that kind of sucks, right? Recently I had a session with a client where the image of a border collie came to mind,
Mm,
and I don't necessarily remember if border collies are the sheep herding kind, but if you've ever been around a dog that has that herding impulse, or there's a word for it, herding
yeah.
instinct maybe,
Yeah.
um, they cannot rest unless every single person in the family is in the same room.
Mm,
So, like, I know German Shepherds do this, and I've seen border collies do it, where, like, think about how border collies are in charge of 100 sheep or whatever,
mhm.
and they're constantly making sure that the sheep are going in the right direction and they're running around. Like, they're so, this is the mind of the Virgo. They're
Mhm.
so consistently running around the things that could, like, float away and die and be
Yeah.
murdered in boxes or whatever. It's not until the sheep are secured in a barn or wherever, and even then, border collies actually can't rest. Like they still have one eye open when they're sleeping.
Mhm.
Like in a moment's notice, they can wake up
Mhm.
and start barking. Um,
Mhm.
that to me is Virgo energy. And my question, I don't think I have access to my Virgo energy as much because I don't know how I would approach that. Like, how would
Mm.
I approach finding mental rest when there's that level of like, I have to be the watchman or the person who takes care to make sure these sheep don't die.
Yeah. Yeah. Mhm.
What do you do with that energy?
Yeah. I mean, I can see that being, yeah, parts that, yeah, I do see this a lot. I mean, a lot of parts feel like they can't stop doing their job, right? They
Yeah,
can't they can't, like, take any breaks because of what they're so worried would happen if they did. But, yeah, I mean, I think it's possible, though, right? With by doing this work and being able to open up to some of those parts and hear what they're doing and saying and what their fears are, and, if they could get to a healed place, they're probably not gonna feel the level of hypervigilance, perhaps, right? Of,
that's the
like,
word.
oh, I have to, keep an eye open, or maybe that just will maybe they'll dial it down a little bit. And, if someone's feeling like they can get to more of a self-led place, some of those fears just don't have to knock on your door at all hours of the night trying to get
Yeah,
you to like worry about something. But you know what? Okay, what that also made me think of is just like parent anxiety, just like
Yeah,
how real it is for people to just constantly feel worry about the people they have to take care of. So I don't want to like minimize that. That's very real. And I think a really big, I think it's a thing that like just, it might not go away. Maybe it'll vary in levels of intensity, but, and I guess I see it kind of as a Virgo archetype as well of like the parent that is just always planning, always thinking 4 steps ahead of what they
yeah,
need to pack or, if their kid's gonna be safe, and that's super real. It's something that kinda just happens when you become a parent, right? And you're just constantly thinking about the people that you are in charge of. Um,
yeah. It's making me wonder if, like, I'm not a parent, not yet. Like, maybe that Virgo energy could be supported by, like, having a trusting partner or a trusting babysitter, or trusting parent, or someone else that you can
yeah,
like, you can trust to also have their mind looking 2 steps ahead, and
totally.
then your brain could rest a little bit.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
that yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it's important, like, all of us have the Virgo energy, and it's
Mhm.
probably in different parts of our lives.
Mhm.
Um, or maybe it's like Virgo energy does better when there's a smaller purview or field, right?
Mhm.
And the more that or you choose what you're in charge of, and it
Mhm.
gets more and more precise, you can
Mhm.
worry less about what someone else is in charge of, and then your superpowered mind doesn't have so much of space to run around in. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I don't know. I'm thinking like, how would I approach this?
Mhm.
For vigilance is definitely, I think, a caution of this archetype and in a really common experience, I think, at least amongst my friends.
Yeah. Mhm. I think it's also just so hard when you just, like, know that everything like, you have a very specific idea of, like, what's right and how to do
Yeah,
things, like, the correct way to do things, like, can almost feel like more suffering when you know that there's a specific way that you want things done, and there's maybe you're a little rigid about it. Um And just and you can do it all right. And you cannot, you're doing everything correctly or like you have the superpower to do everything and get it all done. But like how much pain it could also cause you to like relinquish a little bit of control. And with this feeling of like, I know the way all these things should be done and they're not being
yeah,
done correctly, and like how hard that is to sit with. Does that make
yeah,
sense?
absolutely. My Capricorn rising part is so strong right now because it's like, well, you can make SOPs. You could write down everything that you do and you think about. So then the other person who is in charge of that task knows how to do it well. But
I
like
know.
that's also being really rigid, right?
Yeah. Well, then there's still the chance that they won't do it right.
Yeah, or they won't read
Or
it.
they
Yeah.
won't do it fast enough, or they won't do it exactly like you.
Yeah.
And just the fact that you even have to write all that stuff down and take all the energy and time to like distribute the task, and they can't, it's like people can't read your mind, unfortunately.
Right.
It just, yeah, it's more work. So then it's just like, oh, I'll just do it myself. It just takes too much time and
Yeah.
trust to delegate tasks. Yeah.
That's making me think more about the Mercury energy. Like Mercury energy is in its essence frenetic, very fast moving,
Mm-hmm.
constantly checking and moving around. Like there's just so much. The speed and the pace of Mercury in
Mm-hmm.
someone's mind is so, it's like, it's just like pop rocks, right? Where like other people's minds, like if I'm thinking about my Mercury Libra, I can tell it's slower when I'm talking to a Mercury in Virgo person. I don't think
Mm-hmm.
my Mercury in Libra is slow, but I can tell that the way my brain works is like so, yeah, it's just
Mm-hmm.
paced slower. Um,
1.5x. Yeah.
and that's Mercury. Mercury energy is 1.8x, and then Saturn energy is like 0, 0, like super slow,
Yeah.
negative. Yeah, yeah.
Totally. Mhm. Mhm.
Okay, where should we go from here?
What's Virgo and Venus like? What if your Venus is in Virgo? What is that like for people? I know it depends on the house, but yeah.
One of my best friends in the world has a Mercury and Venus. She also has Mercury, or sorry, she has Mercury, Venus, and Mars, and I think something else in Virgo.
Yeah.
So it's hard to distinguish which is doing what. But to me, she's a writer. She's a
Mhm.
brilliant writer. A Virgo Venus looks like someone who cherishes
Mm.
details, like, that's the person I think about, like, the person who spends the time to wrap a gift in, like, the coolest way with the
Nice.
coolest paper, and they
Yeah.
have that ribbon, but it's not just tied like a regular ribbon. It's
Yeah.
tied like, it's they took the time to make something so beautiful, and they used their hands. That's also
Yeah.
another.
Yeah.
Yeah, Virgo Venus, like,
I've heard
really
people say it's like a hard placement. I've heard the
really?
internet say that. Yeah. But, that could be whatever. Yeah, just saying it's hard for
Mm.
Venus to be in that Virgo.
So Venus is, like, the most uncomfortable in Scorpio, so that's something I know.
Really?
And that's where I have my Venus. But I wonder what the comment on that is because Venus is like
Yeah.
where we put our attention,
Mhm.
like what we have affection toward, what we
Mhm.
value. And like yeah, maybe Virgo energy in with Venus in Virgo, it's like maybe there's a little bit too much time spent on the details and that can be
Hmm.
look like
Okay.
perseveration, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I could see
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I've
Mhm.
been loved really well by Virgo Venuses. So I think I'm prone.
Really? Sweet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's just like this ability to listen at length and ask really good questions. That Mercury energy, Mercury is the best question answer or asker, the answer. Um,
So of a Gemini Venus and a Virgo Venus may like each other.
yeah, I mean their value systems would look very mercurial.
Yeah.
Probably like it would be a household of readers
Yeah.
or talkers.
Cute.
That's something about Virgo energy that I don't think people talk about a lot is that Virgos are chatty. Like
Mhm. Mhm.
I've heard people talk about Virgo energy as like very quiet and stoic
Mm.
and like critical and like, yeah, maybe. But they're also ruled by Mercury and they love the exchange of information
Yeah.
and they love making sense of information.
Yeah, they're not wallflowers. Yeah.
Yeah, no.
I
Like
feel like
they
at first they could be. At first, like, I feel like most Virgo women that I've met in my life have appeared so cool, like, but
yeah,
like distant, like a little aloof at first, like hard to get to know. But that made them like it made their allure even cooler, right? Like
yeah,
because they weren't super like friendly right off the bat and wanting to be your best friend,
yeah.
which of course just pulled me in. And they all just seem so cool. And then yeah, so once you get to know them, then they're super chatty or they're just wonderful, cool people. What's your experience been like?
I think well that makes me think of like, well, they've decided you're worth spending their energy on.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
that
which is
they
so
just like
validating.
yeah,
Wow.
so yeah, if you're picked by a Virgo, it feels great.
Right?
Like, they're discerning, they have limited energy like every single person,
Mhm.
and they know where they put their care, their energy is like
Mhm.
they're going to do a really good job of it, so they can't waste their time on something that's not worth the
Mhm.
energy. So that's
Mhm.
what that makes me think of.
Yeah.
Virgo and Libra are known for discernment, but
Yeah.
Libra's more of, like, discerning ethically or morally maybe? It's more
Mhm.
ethical, and Virgo is more, like, of a mental discernment of, like, choosing what
Mm.
matters, what doesn't.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It also feels like they care less about what people think of them, how they're being perceived. But
Mm.
I don't know, what's really going on inside or if that's just like how it appears on the outside.
I wonder about that because if we're going to the Virgo archetype, I think that there's probably a caution of choosing your or not identifying with your own thoughts or not
Mhm.
identifying too much with what you hear people say about you.
Yeah, there's less personalization.
Yeah, or like maybe there's the caution is like there's a lesson in the Virgo energy of like there in the earlier years possibly there might be too much identification with what you're thinking or what other people are thinking. And then there's a shift. Hopefully there's a shift to like, well, not every thought needs to be internalized or acted
Yeah.
upon.
Yeah.
I think Virgo energy also thinking about it's mutable. So it's like receiving or like reacting or letting things happen and then make like filling the holes. Yeah. So it's like they're not necessarily the archetype of Virgo is not necessarily going to go out and declare something, but they will take what has been declared and process it in the way that they need to.
Mhm.
And hopefully that looks like discerning what is supportive for them and what is not. You know what I mean?
Mhm. 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 Yeah, that makes
Yeah.
sense. Mhm. Yeah, I think Virgo parts are, I'm gonna guess, just like really strong managers.
Yeah.
Mhm. To make it to be really simplistic.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
That's making me think of like, I have a lot of Virgo sons in my life. My grandma, one of my favorite people, but it's the Virgos in my life who are the people who complain or speak up when something is going wrong.
Yeah.
And that's like, that reminds me of a manager who's speaking a lot, right? A managing part that's speaking up, because the parts that speak up the most frequently or the loudest are addressed
Mhm.
instead of just like simmering in the background and hoping someone notices them, right?
Mhm.
Um, so that's something that's coming to mind too, is like the ability to complain or simply speak. There's different words for it, but like just identify verbally what needs to be changed. Such a Virgo thing.
Mhm. Mm.
Because if they don't point out what needs to be changed, like who's going to change it?
Mhm. Mhm. Wow. Yeah. That's the job. Mhm.
And that also like makes me think of like parent teacher conferences. The teachers are expressing, I'm seeing this need in your child as my
Mhm.
student. Can you help me, or like can we help each other to get this student to practice this or whatever? So like
Mhm.
they are verbalizing what needs to be addressed.
Mhm.
The squeaky
Yeah.
wheel gets the grease kind of thing.
Mhm.
So thinking
Yeah.
about my grandma's like, yeah, she's like whenever, and also my grandma doesn't complain unless it like definitely needs to be addressed. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like she's not saying like, oh, those this insignificant thing is this insignificant
Yeah.
thing. She's pointing out a detail that does need to change, and
Yeah.
then someone changes it. You know?
Yeah. Mhm. Yeah.
So it's like when a Virgo talks about something, you better listen because they
Mhm.
they they have examined it, they have noticed it.
Mhm. Mhm.
I There's this thing about mutable signs. We call them the double-bodied sign. So
Yeah.
the Pisces is like two fish together. Virgo, I actually don't know how Virgo is double-bodied, but
Yeah.
what's another one? Gemini is the twins, so two humans together. Um,
Mhm.
there's this like whatever we do that's bilateral in the human body is really connected to mutable signs. So like our hands
Mm.
or our legs, like those legs have a lot to do with Sagittarius energy, like where we're going, where we're running, where we're moving.
Yeah.
I think about the eyes a lot for Virgo.
Ooh.
So like if you walk around your house, it's like a Sunday afternoon and you want to just clean up, tidy up something. You walk around the house and you use your eyes to see what's dirty or what's unkempt, and then you use your hands to clean it up or to do whatever you need to do. That feels very Virgo to me because you're using these
Totally.
two very important things
Yeah.
that direct reality for you.
Yeah.
So that I don't know. I That's a theory I'm working out. I don't know if there's any
Or
ancient
you're
astrology.
like looking through your spreadsheets and your
Yeah.
accounting spreadsheets,
Yeah. And like being able to see the details.
and you're crunching some numbers.
Yeah. Or like there's two kids in the back of the classroom, you're a teacher, and they're doing something, but you're not quite sure because you only saw a half second of it. A Virgo would know what they were doing, where
Mhm.
other archetypes might have a harder time knowing exactly what they just did
Mhm.
because it
Mhm.
was so fast. It was like such a quick input to
Ooh.
their eyes.
Yeah.
That
Mhm.
feels real.
Do we have any stats on like jobs that Virgos do? Or like this percentage of teachers are Virgos. We need to find those stats.
I would be curious about that. There was this study, statistical study done. Oh my God, I'm not remember the guys' names, but there's in France, there were these two people who like did not believe in astrology. They thought it was crap. And
Mhm.
they found statistically significant evidence, like
Yeah?
evidence that the where in professional athletes, there was Mars on the midheaven or Mars in the 11th house or something like that. Like statisticians found this to be true. So I don't know if there's been a study on occupations and people who have Virgo placements, but
We'll look it up.
that's interesting.
Maybe we could have our own poll. What are some like myths or misconceptions that people have about Virgo?
I would say I like really I caution. I don't want to say the negative stuff so much about Virgo because like part of my practice is to get to know the energy and not diagnose it negatively. But like
Mhm.
they're known as nitpickers, right?
Mm,
Or perseverators. They take what's the word? Overthinkers is the word.
yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's pretty common.
Mhm.
And it
Yeah.
makes sense overthinking because they have the ability to think every corner of an issue, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Mhm. Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah. Mhm. Just like strong manager parts, strong protector parts.
yeah.
Yeah, that
But, like,
are really mhm.
thinking about the ruler, the planetary ruler of Virgo does help me find more compassion and understanding for the archetype. And it's not fair that it seems like Virgo energy is talked about negatively more so than positively
Oh, you think so?
because I think so. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's just the people in my life talking about themselves. The Virgos
Mm,
in my life are so skilled at sarcasm and self-deprecation.
mhm.
That's probably where that's coming from.
Mm,
But you have to have that mercurial, like jokester kind of energy in order to
mhm.
tell a self-deprecating joke that's funny.
Mhm. Yeah.
Otherwise, it's just
Mhm.
like beating up on yourself in front of people, and it's uncomfortable. But if it's funny,
Mhm.
you know,
Mhm.
it's
Yeah.
mercurial. It's fun.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
You have to be smart in order to do it skillfully.
right. Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm. Do you feel like there's a difference or you've seen a lot of differences between, like, different genders, with Virgo energy?
That's so hard to comment on.
I know. Yeah.
I mean, gender, the whole concept of gender is hard to comment on. And
Yeah.
also, like, are we all, if we, are we just talking about Virgo suns, that kind of thing? It's so hard
Mhm.
to
Mhm.
distinguish.
Yeah.
I will say, like, the whatever house the sun, if the person is a Virgo sun, whatever house the sun in does really shift the energy a lot. And I think even more specifically, if they're a Virgo rising, wherever
Yeah.
Mercury is in their chart, I think speaks more to the experience of the Virgo energy.
Mm.
So maybe we can talk about that. Yeah, Virgo rising because Mercury, the Virgo rising would be ruled by Mercury. So
Yeah.
Mercury is more profound or profoundly felt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe we can talk about the different houses for Virgo because everyone has a house that is Virgo ruled, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
So wherever that Virgo energy would show up would bring
Yeah.
that superpowered mercurial mind,
Yeah.
the ability just to discern, make sense of lots of information, to digest. Digestion is huge with Virgo energy is like
Yeah.
choosing what is nutritious and what isn't. Yeah. So if we applied that to the houses, like the
Mhm.
first house would be the most profoundly felt Virgo energy because it's the first house is the self, the life, the person. So like your selfness would be so informed by
Yeah.
the superpowered Mercury mind.
Mhm.
If Virgo was your second house, like Chelsea, I would assume that, like, so the second house is what supports life. And it's often talked about as like where our money comes from,
Mm.
our physical surroundings. It's more the material house. So
Yeah.
the material experience for you might be more Virgo-ish in that it would be earthy, it would be really brainy. Um,
Mm.
yeah, I would say like Virgo energy also in our chart helps us know where we could clean up in order to feel better.
Really?
Like, yeah,
Wow.
so for you, I would in that logic, I would suggest, like, tidying up your how you're tracking your finances or making a cool, like, Pinterest board or something of, like, all your skills and talents and, like, developing them because skills and talents support life, and then also, like, your physical space.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I think that's true for everyone, but anyway. Okay, so third house Virgo energy. The third house is a super hodgepodge house. Has a lot to do with cognition, thinking,
Mhm.
learning, traveling, short-term travel, siblings, aunts and uncles, sometimes grandparents, people say, although I've found more grandparent stuff in the ninth house.
Mm.
So Virgo energy in that is like also neighborhood life, your
Mhm.
weekly life. Virgo energy could support like I'm thinking about like little brothers or older brothers or
Mm.
siblings or whatever. Like being the person who can like ask good questions to your neighbors or your siblings when they're like in a bad moment. Also, like having Virgo energy in your cognition house seems like such a blessing because there's this like natural ability to think about things in a quicker, more sound way.
Mm,
So well, this is going to take a long time, so we're going to like speed run this. Fourth house Virgo energy. So that would be a Gemini rising. Fourth house Virgo energy. Fourth house is like your ancestors, your home, your private space, how you grew up, childhood. Sometimes it's considered where your parents are signified. So Virgo energy there could be like really clearing space for you to fully experience your private life. I highly suggest journaling for people who are Gemini risings because you're ruled by Mercury as a Gemini rising, and also your private space might have a lot of activity mentally.
mhm,
But putting that on the page and like thought dumping could be really supportive.
mhm.
I always go to like the prescriptive, like what's going to help you. So I'm
Yeah.
trying not to do that as much, but I like
What
it.
what part is that?
Well, I don't know. That's probably my hypervigilant part. Okay, so Virgo in the fifth house, that would be Taurus risings. Virgo in the fifth house. The fifth house is children, play, speculation, risk, dating, flirting, fun. It's like lots
Mhm,
of fun. But I like to think of it as like we're like making our life enjoyable. And the word make
mhm,
is so important. Like we're using our lives to create joy and pleasure. And that
mhm.
could be dancing, that could be art, or it could be
Fun.
like simply focusing on yourself and making yourself into someone that you admire and find enjoyable. Virgo energy there, Taurus risings, could look like, well, looks like projects, like making like fun, like thought projects or curriculum, like you're pursuing a craft or you're pursuing learning salsa or something, and like really treating it like it's a curriculum. And that can be really fun for Virgo energy. Okay, so then Virgo in the sixth house, that would be math, Aries rising, Virgo in the sixth house. The sixth house is like illness, wellness, physical health, labor, how you trade X for X. So that's like how you trade time for money, how you trade
Mm,
working out for wellness, what you do in exchange. It's also the house of service.
mm,
So Virgo energy, I think, does really well here because that mercurial superpower is like identifying what needs to be addressed.
mm,
So if you're currently ill, that house looks like there's more skill. There's a lot of skill with identifying what is making you ill and how to pursue that or how to address that. Okay, so Virgo in the seventh house would be Pisces rising. Virgo in the seventh house looks like it's partnership, it's devoted relationships, it is seeing yourself in another or having others mirror back to you what you desire.
mm,
It's conversation, it's dialogue. Seventh house has so much to do with relationships. Virgo energy there looks like someone who's really great at taking care of the other. And also probably like admitting or identifying or requesting care from the other. That's one way to think about that too, is like Virgo energy is not just the person who's doing everything, they're also communicating what needs to be done.
mhm.
So that's something to think about. Okay, Virgo energy in the eighth house makes math. Oh my God. I wish I had a Mercury in Virgo right now. That would be Aquarius rising. Okay, so Virgo in the eighth house. Eighth house is intimacy. What is exchanged? What is shared? It's the house of death. It's the house of sex. It's the house of scary things that take a lot of risk. So it's like it's vulnerability. This can look like taxes. It can look like death. It could look like inheritance. It can look like things that you don't have control over. So Virgo energy, I think actually might have a little bit of difficulty here. I'm not saying that all Aquarius risings have a difficult time, but I'm saying that Virgo energy is like the border collie running around to make sure everything's okay. And the eighth house is the house where we don't have control. The way to channel this energy, I would suggest, depending on the person, is like therapy. Having an analyst, having a therapist, doing IFS would be
Mhm.
really, really helpful for Aquarius risings. I think, especially for
Aw.
this reason, because that energy does well when they know where they are tasked. And if you are channeling that like ability to get things done or try to use your mind to identify issues in a productive way, things are so much better. So I think therapy would be really great for Aquarius risings to use that Virgo energy. Virgo in the ninth house is me, Capricorn risings. Ninth house is the house of God. It's the
Mm.
house of travel, like long-term travel. It's the house of philosophy. It's like larger concepts and ideas or areas of our life that where we find expansion, especially mental expansion.
Mm.
So having Virgo in this house, it can look like you make large things very small, or you focus too much on the details when it's more about like faith and expansion. And I think using Virgo energy as a Capricorn rising is best when like it's kind of curriculum also would be great here is like asking good questions and just seeing what happens and being okay with not knowing anything along the way. So you're using that superpowered mind, the Virgo energy, to ask questions rather than identify answers.
Mhm.
And that can be maybe a little bit antithetical to the Virgo archetype, but Virgo energy there does really well, I would say. Personal experience. Okay, Virgo in the 10th house. We're almost done. We're almost there. We have 3 houses left. Virgo in the 10th house would be Sagittarius rising. So Virgo in the 10th house is occupation, public life, reputation, how you put effort out into the world, what you put out into the world. This can also be the house of the mother. Some people say it's the house of the father. So it's like I bring up the parents a lot for talking about the 10th and the fourth house because parents are usually our models of how to be, right? So our parents are our models in the fourth house of how to be in our private life, how to take care of our private life, as well as they teach us how to be a citizen. So Virgo energy, citizen's a really good word for this. So Virgo energy, those Sagittarius risings tend to be really great citizens
Mm.
because they can see where in their point of view or their immediate life there needs to be something changed or something addressed. So they put their effort out into a way, like in the way of service, of like really
Mm.
applying themselves where it is most needed. That I would venture to guess that the Sagittarius risings in this world, because they're also Sagittarius energy is ruled by Jupiter, which is like this big, expansive, like caretaker of society. Um, yeah, they tend to have this like great sense of justice and supporting of other people who they may not know. Virgo energy in the 11th would be Scorpio risings. So the 11th house is like audiences, groups, friendships, people that you might not necessarily have one-on-one relationships with, but that you're connected to somehow, like-minded individuals or people you want to support, or maybe your client base if you work with clients. They tend
Mhm.
to have the energy of your 11th house. Scorpio risings have a Virgo 11th house. So
Mhm.
that would look like maybe a Scorpio rising would that Virgo energy would attract people who are interested in detailed service work or in the health of society or something to do with what takes a lot of mental power to address and take care of. Using that as like they they might be the mom friend of the group because of
Mhm.
that Virgo energy. Like they know what questions to ask when they're in a group, that kind of thing. Okay, last one. Virgo energy in the 12th house. That is brain, 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 Libra rising. So 12th house energy is hard to identify. That's the one of the houses that I would say the most obscure house to all of us. There are a few other houses that we have a different vantage point of too. It's difficult to see them, but this is the one that's right next to us, so it's not we can like barely see it in our periphery. So Virgo energy that we are not aware of, so like in our subconscious mind or our unconscious mind is Virgo, is that there's a lot of activity beneath the surface.
Mm.
So I highly encourage people who have Virgo 12th houses, the Libra risings in the world, to do Zen meditation for sure, to really get to know what's happening in their unconscious mind, to understand that thoughts occur and aren't a part of them. That's such a
Mhm.
huge thing. And also, like, I'm seeing now, like, practicing languages that aren't necessarily verbal. Though Mercury is such a verbal sign because sorry, Virgo is a verbal sign because of the Mercury influence. But
Mhm.
like translating that, like we can't quite sense it as a language that's not verbal because of that 12th house energy. So that's something to think about. I haven't really talked about before. Um,
Wow.
that was
Thanks
that
for
was
running
a
through all of those. Like, that was amazing. You're so smart. You just did that on the fly.
it's my mental. I'm staying sharp by doing
You're
that.
so sharp. Yeah. Mhm. It's a lot of info. What else do you feel like you need to tell us about Virgo? We covered so much. Does that feel like
So I feel like okay. there's so many incredible astrologers out in the world talking about Virgo energy, especially right now.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about the myths because
Yeah.
the other people are talking about it better.
Yeah.
But for me and you, I think it's really interesting to talk about like how to address the parts that feel like they just can't turn off, mentally.
Mhm.
And like, so I don't have anything else to share, but I have a question for you as
Mhm.
an IFS therapist and art therapist. Like for yourself or maybe for clients, what has been really helpful for soothing or supporting like overthinking or just like worrying, I guess is something. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, I think, like, the more work you can do with those parts, like, with, hopefully with the practitioner, the better, right? Because I think that the more self-energy you can have access to will help some of those parts calm down a little bit and
Yeah.
not have to be super activated all the time and super on. So, yeah, more self-energy, understanding what those parts are worried about. Yeah. So the process of, utilizing the IFS model, finding out more about what those parts are doing in the system and what they're so afraid of happening to you if they're not there worrying all the time.
Yeah.
So once you can understand and hear more about what those worries are, sometimes the parts can relax a little bit. And I mean, there's more to it. Like I'm giving you the very basics.
Yeah.
Um, if someone was going to work with those parts in session, like they'd hopefully be able to work with them fully to like actually unburden those parts and set those burdens down so they just wouldn't have to be so on all the time and overthinking. Yeah, I'm thinking more of like, yeah, when it shows up as like overthinking and perseveration or like really like maybe intrusively kind of getting your attention, constantly, right? Because like I'm sure we all have a level of overthinking that happens
Oh yeah.
that, it's like we all have manager parts that are doing so much for us every day. And we need that. So we need a level of like the planner, the strategist to get shit done. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, that's okay. Yeah. But when it gets into
Yeah.
like the extreme territory of like, oh, I can't even, I physically can't rest or my brain can't rest and it's causing me all these other problems, right? That's something to take a look at. Right. So like just noticing like where in life does it feel off balance or like there's other things suffering because of the perseveration or the overthinking or over planning. Yeah, because for some people, that's kind of maybe they're functioning at a really high level and it doesn't feel like it's causing a lot of pain or suffering or harm to their lives, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's just making me think of like, what have I done to help myself with the overthinking? And there's like two things, there's three things. Wow. Okay. When I met my husband, we weren't married yet.
Mhm.
When I met him,
Really?
I was not using a schedule. I didn't
Mhm.
use a schedule in my life until I met him and he showed me his Google Calendar.
But weren't you
And
also
since
like 20 years old?
I think I was 25.
Like
I mean, it's
who
wild
has a
that I wasn't
schedule
using the
back
calendar.
then? Like you
But when I started
shouldn't.
doing that, I didn't have to do that constant checking, like, do I remember what I'm doing today or what I'm doing tomorrow? Number 1. And then also, morning pages, just like my friend who I mentioned earlier, the writer who's brilliant and has
Mhm.
loved me very well,
Mhm.
she described morning pages or just like writing gobbledygook onto the
Mhm.
page
Yeah.
as like dusting off the like first layer of soil so you can actually get to the thoughts that are like have nutrients and clay and like
Nice.
juiciness.
Yeah.
The perfect way to put that. Like we're just dusting off the first like sand layer so we can get to the real stuff. Morning pages like helped my brain function so much faster. And I think
Totally.
that's like Virgo energy.
Mhm.
Uh, it's like we're cleaning up, right? So that we
Mhm.
can do the good thinking. And the
Yeah.
third thing I learned from Holisticism's Michelle Pelazan, which is the second brain. She didn't make it up, but she implemented it in an interesting enough way for me to care.
Mhm.
Where you like you put your processing or your thinking or your tracking mental work onto a document, like a living document that captures everything so that you can use your brain during the day to do
Mm.
the good work, like the thinking work, the creative work. I feel like that, like you're talking about IFS as like addressing the worries and seeing what's underneath there, like what's the fear behind the worry and in that relational work. And that seems like number one. Number one, Virgo energy needs that. And then also use a calendar. Like that, like the mental clutter, the extra work we don't necessarily need to do somewhere else that you don't have to hold in your brain so you can do the
Mhm.
heavy processing power. Um,
Wait, are we actually just an optimization podcast? Are
my
we
God. Yeah, get your business
are we
here,
are
brothers.
we bro podcast bros talking about
10% increase.
business
Word.
hacks? Wow, that took a turn. I mean,
Yeah.
if I think that's maybe how some people are using AI assistants now too, right? Remember we read that thing that our friend sent us about like the little like AI assistants where you can just like I don't know have the AIs do certain types of things instead of like just the tasks that are like fun and creative and like write this Substack post for me, which is like should be fun and not something that like I don't know. I'm not going to be judgy, but
They should
it's
be
like
put in jail.
but, like, there are helpful ways to, like, yeah, use the AI as a second brain or, like, an assistant to do some of the stuff that just hold all this stuff that you don't wanna have to hold all the time. Just offload some of that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting to think about Virgo as the person or the being. We're not talking about Virgo people, but the archetype of like the
Mhm.
ability to hold everything,
Mhm.
but you don't have to hold everything. Like,
Yeah.
I think that's the big question is like, you can do everything. You are
Yeah.
so powerful in
Yeah.
this area or that archetype, but you don't have to do everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the crisis point, the shift.
Yeah. Yeah, like, you can
Yeah.
go out and enjoy life too. It's fun.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, let's end the podcast with this.
Okay.
How can we use Virgo energy for enjoyment, for pleasure?
Yeah. I mean, well, some people would be like, spreadsheets are pleasurable, or like
You
Excel
know?
is my pleasure point, or like I get so much pleasure from being so organized, which is so real. Like that does feel good, right?
Oh, yeah.
So that, or like having a tidy, like I do feel pleasure when I have a tidy house. It kind of sucks to do it, but that can feel fun,
Yeah.
enjoying cleaning.
Pitter patter, is that the word for it? Like the back and forth banter.
What about banter?
Like, honestly, if a Virgo E person picks me apart as a series of jokes, it's so pleasurable. Like, come on. Tell me what's wrong with what I'm saying right now. Like, tear it apart. Like, it's
Mm.
actually kind of
Hmm.
fun. If they're kind about it,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
fun.
I've been on the receiving end of that with some really funny Virgos, and
Yeah.
it's hilarious. Yeah.
Feel like when I try to do that though, it doesn't quite land. So that's something I can
Practice,
access with my
practice.
Virgo part.
We love you, Virgos. You're the best.
I love Virgo so
Happy
much.
birthday, Beyonce.
Jimmy Fallon,
Oh, that makes sense. Amy Poehler,
love her.
Elizabeth the First.
The Virgin
Oh yeah.
is not going to give her throne to someone else.
And people who don't believe in astrology, it just like there's so many examples.
Yeah.
Yeah, look at Elizabeth the
I wanted
First.
to say something shitty that I didn't believe. Like, people don't believe in astrology, but whatever. Never mind. Never mind. I want.
Just wait till Libra season. We know what we're going to talk about.
Mhm. Thank you so much for meeting with me to talk about Virgo today.
You're so welcome. Thank you, everybody, for being here.
Love you.
Love you. See you next time. Bye.
Thanks for joining us for Parts and Charts, the IFS and Astrology podcast. If something sparked insight or resonated with you, we'd love to hear from you.
No, really, we're here to make friends. Reach out to us, leave a comment, subscribe. And if you feel called, share this episode with someone you care about. Or if you want to work with us one-on-one and go deeper with this work, check the link in the show notes for how to find us.
Until next time, may all parts of you feel like family.